Remakes, remakes, remakes. We truly live in a world where companies love shoving remakes down our throat for the simple fact that it's an easy way to get a fat stack of cash. And to be honest, I understand, and I'm completely okay with that if we keep getting remakes in the quality of games like Resident Evil 2 and, no, not Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4. And there's one game that I completely slip on here in the Nintendo space, and that is StarFox. If you watched my review a few weeks ago of StarFox, I was pretty clear that I did not like the original game on the Nintendo 64. But when they re-released this game on the Switch 2 and this beautiful remake, I came around to it. I absolutely adore this game. I adore the characters, and I love my boy Slippy Toad. He's the best. He is the best. And then we have the remake of Ocarina of Time, which is right around the corner. That hopefully we will see more of that within the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll get a release of that in October or November, because they're still saying that it's coming out in 2026, but we've not seen anything. We've seen some leaked images of like a Switch 2 collector's edition and stuff like that. So hopefully it's sooner rather than later. With that being said, Nintendo, do not stop there. There are so many games within your catalog of Nintendo 64 games that are worthy of a remake and worthy to come back into the light. And today, I want to list 5 games that I think would be great remakes for the Switch 2. Let me make this clear, not remasters. Full-blown remakes. If you do a remaster, I'm not going to be getting that crap, I swear. Number 5, let's get the elephant out of the room here. I'm sure I'm not the only one that would love this. I'm pretty sure everyone as a whole would love this. We need a Mario 64 remake. This was the game that I played on the Nintendo 64. This was the one that I played above all the others. I absolutely adored this game. Out of every Nintendo 64 game I played growing up, this was easily the one I spent the most time with, which is funny because I never made it anywhere. Seriously. Little Kirby could spend hours running around Bob-omb Battlefield, jumping into paintings, climbing trees, swimming around the castle, anything except actually progressing through the dang game. I probably spent more time launching Mario out of a cannon than collecting stars, but I loved every second of this game. I'm not even kidding. Mario 64 is still a fantastic game today. It's one of those games where you can immediately understand why it was such a huge deal when it was released, because, you know, of course there's Ocarina of Time, but this was the first 3D Mario game. I mean, that alone is a major deal. Now, it would do a lot better with a remake because, let's be honest, the camera, good Lord, it was not really that good. I mean, you barely touched the right stick and it whoop, 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 like you couldn't really control the dang thing. Then you end up in somehow in first person mode and all kinds of weird stuff. I would love a fixed camera, not a fixed camera, but I want them to fix the camera and the caliber of like Mario Odyssey and games like that. I think it would be a huge update. Sometimes you're not fighting Bowser, sometimes you're fighting the freaking cameraman. And that's why I'd love to see Nintendo go beyond something like Mario 64 and 3D All-Stars and give this thing a proper ground-up remake. Keep the level design, keep the movement, keep the weird charm of the original, but completely overhaul the visuals, improve the camera, smooth out some of the controls, and maybe sprinkle in a few surprises for people who've beaten the game 700 times. I actually plan on going back and beating Mario 64 one day because it is one of those games that I've played it so many times, but I've made it nowhere. So I will definitely go back one day and try that out. And if Nintendo announced a remake of the game, maybe I'll just wait for that, like the Ocarina of Time. And I know, whoa, don't leave a comment saying I'm a big idiot like you did in the other video, because man, come on. A man can dream. I mean, that's literally the entire point of this video. Number 4, we're gonna get a little bit wacky here, and that's because since I've had the Switch 2, we've had, not to say the Switch 1 didn't have this, but the Switch 2 has had some pretty adult-oriented games with Resident Evil 9, Lies of P, Elden Ring, a lot more adult-oriented, adult humor type games. And one of them that was on the Nintendo 64 would be amazing to see, and that would be Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't know about you guys, but that game's freaking hilarious. I absolutely adored it. I never beat the original one on the Nintendo 64, but I played the Xbox version of that game countless times, and I think the co-op multiplayer aspect of that game was a lot of fun too. So technically I'm asking for a remake of an old game that already has a remake. But I don't care. Conker is one of the strangest games from that entire generation because visually it looks like something you'd buy for your 6-year-old. Oh, look at that cute little squirrel. Wait. No, turn that off, turn that off. The contrast between these adorable furry woodland creatures and the completely unhinged adult humor is what makes Conker special. It's crude, it's stupid, it's offensive, it's immature, it's beautiful. And underneath all of the jokes, there's actually a really memorable platformer. Imagine that world with modern animation and visuals. You can make Conker look like a dang Pixar movie, except it's a Pixar movie that absolutely should not be shown to children. And consider how many Nintendo franchises have gotten another chance at life recently. I would love to see Conker crawl out of whatever basement he's been locked inside for the past 2 decades. That squirrel deserves better. He deserves better. He has been drinking his life away. We need to help him out, guys. We need to help him. Number 3 is going to be a heavy hitter here, but it is one that may be a little bit hard to actually pull off, and that is 007 GoldenEye. Now, the weird thing about this is the fact that it is a movie tie-in game, but it's an amazing movie tie-in game that everyone loves and adores, and it's one of those games that make first-person shooters what they are today. It was one of them first groundbreaking first-person shooters that everyone absolutely loves and adores. The only problem is, where it is a movie tie-in game, I'm sure there's going to be some licensing issues involved that would make it a complete nightmare to actually pull off. Just think about how weird this actually is. Movie tie-in games are actually not even a thing anymore, and they're synonymous for being absolutely garbage. Oh, cool. I love that movie. Let's play the game. What is this? What is going on? This has nothing to do with the movie. But GoldenEye was different. This thing exploded. For a lot of people, this was their introduction to multiplayer first-person shooters. 4 people crowded around one TV, 4 tiny little screens, one friend who absolutely knew where every weapon spawned and ruined the entire night for everyone else. Beautiful times, don't you think? And don't even get me started on the pause music. It was peak. Playing GoldenEye today can still be fun, especially if you have that nostalgic lens for it, but FPS controls have evolved so much since 1997 that going back can feel like you're trying to control James Bond with a rock and a stick. It makes you feel like a caveman trying to figure out how to create fire for the first time. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, it's just that's the difference. That's the big spectrum of how FPS games have evolved since then. But imagine GoldenEye rebuilt from the ground up with modern first-person shooter controls, updated enemy AI, new animations, modern visuals, improved multiplayer. Keep the original missions and general level layouts, but modernize it for an actual experience in today's time. Make the maps bigger, that way they feel larger and full-scale action-oriented with like Call of Duty style gameplay that would be absolutely intense, similar to camping. The obvious problem is the licensing. You've got the James Bond rights held by the movie owners or the whatever the license holders are for like the IP in general. So that's going to be very difficult to try to pull off, but if they like money, like Nintendo likes money, they could surely do that. Could you imagine just being like, yeah, we're going to bring back GoldenEye, and everyone's gonna freak out. Everyone's gonna absolutely freak out. Number 2 is a game that I've spent very little time playing, but now that I'm a big league Pokemon fan, we need Pokémon Stadium. A remake of Pokémon Stadium, and I'm not talking about Pokémon Champions, which looks like Pokémon Stadium and might be a spiritual successor or a easy way to grab the fans into going over to that ecosystem and spending money. I'm talking about a true blue Pokémon Stadium remake. Like I said, I didn't actually play this game much growing up. Instead, I actually watched my family and friends play it. So what I'm saying is, I watched somebody else play. I don't know where I was going with that. My best friend played the crap out of Pokemon Stadium, and even from the sidelines, I thought this game looked awesome. Seeing Pokemon battling in full 3D was a completely different experience back then, and while we've obviously had plenty of 3D Pokemon games since, I still think there's something special about how huge in scale that game is. It's like watching a sports event, like watching the Super Bowl, but you're watching these giant creatures fight each other. It's awesome. There's no massive open world, no running around collecting sandwiches, ingredients, berries, rocks, sticks, taxes, whatever the heck Pokemon had us doing. Just, here's your Pokemon. There's another Pokemon. Now beat the crap out of each other and get it over with. That's beautiful. And yes, like I said, we have Pokemon champions, and it scratches some of that competitive battle itch, but I want is something specifically built to recapture the feeling of Pokemon Stadium. Give me the tournaments, give me the announcer, give me ridiculous minigames, give me local multiplayer, give me modern online functionality, and most importantly, give it a completely unique visual identity. We've already seen Nintendo willing to dramatically update the visual style of older games, so imagine Pokémon Stadium with slightly more realistic textures and environments. Not hyper realistic, I don't need Charizard looking like something that escaped from Jurassic Park, but push the detail just enough to separate it visually from the mainline Pokemon games. You know, the mainline Pokemon games nowadays have this really beautiful, cartoony anime style visual, and I'm just saying push it over, not really Unreal Engine 5 this thing, but like just give it a little bit more realistic textures and stuff, like in the vein of StarFox that came out recently. I mean, that game looks absolutely beautiful, and that's what I would prefer. You know what I mean? Give detailed scales on Charizard, individual strands of fur on Pikachu, more detailed arenas, massive crowds reacting to attacks, Pokemon actually showing damage and exhaustion as the battle progresses. Imagine two giant Pokemon battling the absolute crap out of each other while thousands of people are screaming in the background. That's Pokemon Stadium. Give me that. That's what I want. And finally, guys, my number one pick. This is, if I could choose any of them other than Mario 64, because that would probably be second, but I wanted to start off strong with a heavy hitter. This is the one I would choose. And this one would probably be difficult, but easier than you would probably think. That is the Neversoft Spider-Man game. This is in fact the first Spider-Man game, the first video game I've actually played. And I've played this game from front to back, back to front, from middle to beginning, then to the end. I've played the absolute dog crap out of this game, and I love every second of it. I can play it today, know exactly every little detail. This is what made me a gamer today. And I already know what people were saying. Kirby, you big idiot. Sony owns Spider-Man, and Spider-Man from Neversoft was on the PlayStation 1. Yes, you're right. Good job, guys. You were correct. But listen, hear me out. Come here. Come here. Come closer. A little bit closer. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. It was on the Nintendo 64 as well. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely crazy? Yeah, you're mostly correct. Spider-Man released on PlayStation, but it also came to the Nintendo 64, and I've played both versions, so I'm counting it. My video, my rules. This game is extremely special to me because outside of Mario 64, this is the first video game I remember playing, and when I say I played it, like I said earlier, I've played the crap out of it. I know the levels, I know the bosses, I know the goofy dialogue, I know the ridiculous cheat codes. I even remember that hilarious cheat code filter where you would try to put in curse words and then Spider-Man would be like, psh, and punch it and be like, no, don't do that. If you say the A word, I'm gonna change it to ice cream. The game had personality coming out of every corner. Stan Lee narrated it. Venom was being an absolute idiot. Spider-Man constantly running his mouth. Doc Ock, Carnage, Mysterio, Scorpion, Rhino. They even had the Human Torch in this game. It felt like somebody took a giant box of Spider-Man action figures, dumped them onto the floor and said, screw it, let's put this all in a Spider-Man game and let's have fun. And that's exactly what I want from a Spider-Man game like this. Now, obviously, this would be a little bit complicated, very complicated, because who owns Spider-Man? Sony, you're right. But here's the thing. There's been talks that I've seen online, whether that's fake or not, of them doing a remake of the Neversoft Spider-Man. They could easily do that. And here's where it gets cooler. We've already seen Sony titles on the Nintendo 64 with that Horizon Zero Dawn Lego game. They could easily do a port for the Switch 2. Easily. Spider-Man rebuilt from scratch, keep the story, keep the dialogue, keep the levels, keep the comic book aesthetic, but rebuild New York, completely overhaul the combat and web swinging, modernize the boss fights, and give those classic levels the visual treatment they deserve. I don't even want them to make it overly serious. That's important. I love Insomniac's Spider-Man. Do not get me wrong. The first Insomniac Spider-Man game is one of my favorite games of all time, but there's a place for that. And there's a place for the Neversoft Spider-Man. Give us both. It's not going to be difficult. Kids aren't going to go, that's not Insomniac Spider-Man. And the cool thing is the suits. Slap Insomniac suit on there. You can easily do it. If they're going to remake it, Sony's going to do that and add all the movie suits and everything. Just do it. Just do it. I want Venom chasing Spider-Man around while acting like a complete moron in 4K. That's what I want. I want it in 4K. That's all I'm asking for. I already adore the original game, and I would love a remake to adore all over again and play the crap out of. I would like it completely the same, just updated visually. Kids my age, I'm 30. I think people my age would see that and go, hell yeah. And they would buy it. They would buy it. And they'd buy it for their kids. They'd buy it for their grandma. They'd buy it for their friends. They'd buy it for their dog and their turtle. I got a turtle of Bowser. I got a little toy Bowser up there. I'd buy it for him too. I just think it would be one of those games that people would love and cherish, and just make it happen, okay? So there you have it. Those are 5 Nintendo 64 games that I think us as a society would need to survive. It's Mario 64, GoldenEye, Conker, Pokémon Stadium, and Spider-Man. But the Nintendo 64 has so many other games that could use a remake, and I probably missed a lot of heavy hitters as well. And with that being said, that's where you all come in. Let me know down in the comments what game you all would want remade from the Nintendo 64 era. Let me know if my ideas are idiotic and stupid. You're wrong. It would be awesome, and you know it, but let me know what your all's takes would be down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. The support has been phenomenal lately. I really do appreciate it. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until next time, guys, bye-bye.